What's your assessment at the outset of the order of battle, of the situation on the ground in early 2023?
Well, as you know, the battle lines have been essentially static. The Russians have been doing more offensive operations than have the Ukrainians for the last several months, but not really achieving all that much. And what they have been achieving has been very, very costly. So I think the big question right now, David, is whether or not the Ukrainians can do once again what they did earlier in the war, which is to do better than Russia in force generation. In other words, in recruiting, training, equipping, organizing, and employing additional forces. And of course, this is where the latest very important announcement comes in, the Western contribution of German Leopard 2 tanks, US M1 Abrams tanks, and also UK Challenger tanks, because that will be the last piece that they need to assemble combined arms capabilities. In other words, mechanized forces that include tanks, the centerpiece, infantry, engineers, artillery, close air support, air defense, explosive ordnance disposal, drones, all of this. And if they can put that together and once again outgenerate Russia in this force generation battle, then in a few months we'll see the Ukrainians able to resume counteroffensive operations and to try to liberate more of their territory of that which is occupied by Russia. And in an ideal world, perhaps to sever the ground connection that Russia has achieved from Russia proper to Crimea. But again, this depends on how each side does in force generation. We know that the Russians are going to mobilize further. They had a much vaunted mobilization of some supposedly 300,000 additional soldiers last year. Nobody knows how many actually showed up at the recruiting station. We do know that more left the country than did show up. But that's hundreds of thousands of additional forces. The problem for the Russians has been that they have not really conducted any meaningful training for these soldiers. Many of them are reservists, and they don't have the equipment for them at this stage either, because the export controls and other sanctions on Russia have taken a serious toll on the military industrial complex of Russia, which is why, of course, the Iranian supplied drone have proved to be so important. So that's where we are right now, David. The question is which side can generate more forces and more capable forces. Last year, the Ukrainians did that far better than did the Russians, helped enormously, of course, by the US and other countries' provision of arms, ammunition, and other assistance. And we'll see if that plays out again this year. That would be my prediction, but it's going to take time to bring in these new weapon systems, the tanks, to put them together with the other capabilities that are required for combined arms operations, and then to position them, get the logistics set, and launch what will be probably a spring or late spring, early summer counteroffensive.